The countdown is on, and it's down to 5 to Super Bowl 57 between the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're here to talk about it for the next 2 hours on Birds 365. Jody McDonald, along with my partner John McMullen, who is still here on the East Coast, not heading out to Arizona till later in the week. And Johnny Mac, I know how bummed you got to be that you missed opening night / media night out in Arizona.
Yeah, the Footprint Center. Yeah, the Suns Arena. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But the NFL could turn anything into events and into an event. And they've done it with Super Bowl opening night, and yeah, people get excited. I always say I'm more Alshon Jeffrey than and I always say go back on YouTube and watch Alshon's awkward interview with somebody trying to joke around with him at Super Bowl 52. And, what if they played the game outdoors? They asked Alshon. He said, why would they play the game outdoors here? It's just a dumb question. And, it is what it is, but you got to go through it. And that's part of the philosophy of experience at the Super Bowl and why some people lean towards Kansas City from that aspect. I think that's a little bit overblown. There's certain Eagles, obviously, that have that experience, but yeah, it's just part of the process. You got to get through it.
The award for last night's dumb question went to Nick Sirianni. Is this a must-win game? Okay, that's thought-provoking. I did watch because I'm kind of obligated to watch, and I do like to watch.
Is it a must-win game?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Jody, nothing's must-win. I mean, Nick's gonna have his job. Nick's gonna get up the next day. Nick's gonna keep fighting. But yeah, it's a silly question.
If there is a must-win game every single year, I would put the Super Bowl on top of that list. That's just me, but others might think differently. Yeah, I understand. It has become a promotional vehicle. It is an event, and the NFL is great at staging them. I know why it has become what it's become, and this has been in place for a while. There are a lot of things the NFL are ever changing and becoming bigger, but this has actually been in place for a lengthy period of time. It just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And yes, yesterday you gave us the handicapping tip of seeing who's on the risers. Who are the ones who are selected by the NFL to be the most important, that they've actually got a little elevation in their questions. And the Eagles had their guys, and Kansas City had their guys. No great surprise that the coaches and the quarterbacks were both there. And at least that's per what they're saying, John, from the time we knew it was going to be the Eagles and the Chiefs after the NFC and AFC championship games. I thought it was something that needed to be noted, borderline ironic, that the two quarterbacks who may run 1-2 in the MVP voting, I think they will, neither one of them I thought would be at 100% for Super Bowl Sunday, because Mahomes has his ankle, and just watching the Eagles, I don't think Jalen Hurts' shoulder is 100%. They both talked it up yesterday as if, they're going to be damn close to 100% by game time, that they're both improved from where they were just 9 days ago when they played in their championship games. Is this going to be less of a factor than I thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I don't know about Jalen Hurts. I think it's, Patrick Mahomes has already proven he's not 100%, but he's already proven in the postseason that he can put up significant numbers, whether you want to call it one leg, 1.5 legs, whatever you want to call it. He's clearly not the same, though. So from that perspective, it's not optimal, but he's proven he could do it. Jalen hasn't proven he can do it from a number standpoint, throwing the football, since he's come back. But I don't know if that's because he's struggling with the injury or because the Eagles are just blowing people out and they don't need to throw the ball. So I can't answer 100%, but what I can answer is, no, they're not healthy. They're not optimal level. They're not what they typically are. So it could have an impact on the game. It should make things easier. At least it might only be a tick easier, Jody, but it should make things a tick easier for both defenses, because both quarterbacks are banged up, and they are, and they're not going to be 100%.
But they were talking a good game last night. They both
Well,
sound like
nobody's going to say, "Hey, take a shot at my shoulder." Hey, take a shot at my ankle. I mean,
that's true, but I did watch both of them speak, and yeah, you try and read a guy on a 60-inch flat screen TV, and it's not easy, but they both looked like they were being pretty honest to me. There was some storytelling and borderline lying going on last night. I didn't think the quarterbacks were two of those guys. And please tell me if Jalen Hurts had ever made reference from this before, because I had never heard it. He said one of the quarterbacks that when he was late high school kid and into college that he looked up to and really respected and borderline wanted to be like was Andrew Luck. I had never heard him say that before, that Andrew Luck was a quarterback. Now, we know Luck was as highly rated coming out of college. Maybe this is a sticking in the craw type thing because Jalen was a second-round pick. He was the unquestioned number one pick, franchise-changing. But he said he liked the game that Andrew Luck played and tried to play like Andrew Luck. I had never heard that before. Had you?
no, I have never heard him bring up Andrew Luck before. It's maybe because he was such a good passer, but he also had significant mobility. And but the thing about Andrew Luck and the reason he was the prospect that he was is, he had everything. He had tremendous size, tremendous arm strength, and it's a shame that everything went the way it did in his career. And I think people forget when he was healthy, it was trending in a really, really positive direction. But yeah, he had everything. I mean, this guy's like, what is it? Probably 6'4", 6'5", 240. And he had everything. So now that he said it, it doesn't surprise me from a trait standpoint, from a playing standpoint, from a style standpoint. But yeah, it always brings up, Jalen takes little tidbits from everything. He goes back to his days at the Manning Academy. He talks about Peyton Manning a lot and Mr. Archie, Mr. Arch as he calls him. So he's always taken a little bit from everybody. So it doesn't surprise me, but it is the first time I've heard him mention the name. If he has, I've missed it in the past.
Yeah, I've never heard Andrew Luck before, and you have to hope that it's not portends of things to come because we know Andrew Luck's career was shortened because of injury, and Jalen does play an aggressive style. And oh, by the way, talking about who was talking last night, Jeff Lurie came clean and said, yeah, Jalen Hurts is everything we want in a quarterback and is achieving everything that we thought he could from draft night on. And yeah, we'll talk about a contract extension at some point. His answer was great answer. Not this week.
This week.
Yeah, he kind of got another piece of business to take care of this week, winning the Super Bowl. But the owner basically admitted, yeah, this is our quarterback of the future. We know we're going to have to pay through the roof, but it's going to be worth it because Jalen has turned into everything they thought he could.
Yeah, I don't know what people were expecting, but what can you do? I mean, it's like they want the Eagles to play these not everybody. I mean, everybody, a lot of people have common sense, but get it. You've heard, you and I have laughed about, oh, he's going to give a hometown discount. No, he's not.
No, he's not.
And the thought process of maybe the Eagles can get it a break here and how he's so good at this, how he's so good at that. The break is, 47 to 52. The break is 47. You're paying out the nose. The Eagles know they're paying out the nose and, they've copped to it and they understand it. It's the cost of doing business at that particular position in the NFL. And, you just got to go about it a different way when all that stuff kicks in. And, Howie talked to a group of reporters before he left. And, he said the same thing. He said, look, extensions, all that stuff, that's not what I'm here to talk about today. He'll talk about that in Indy at the scouting combine. They're trying to win a Super Bowl. So not this week, but the Eagles know where they are with Jalen Hurts. And the last thing you want is him to play so poorly on the biggest stage you save $5 million or something like that. You want to win a Super Bowl and say thank you very much, and let's go forward and try to build this thing a different way when you have to.
There are some obsessed Eagle fans who will actually contemplate a Super Bowl that the Eagles win, but Jalen doesn't play well. So they can celebrate, have a parade, but save a couple dollars on the back end because Jalen doesn't have the best of Super Bowl. Don't even go there.
Yeah.
Don't let yourself go
And
there.
always remember, it's not your money. Who cares? Let Jeffrey Lurie worry about it. He's the one who's got to pay it.
We've got a lot of it, including two of them sitting here, amateur Howie Rosemans sitting who want to be able to lend a area of expertise to the Eagles as to how to build this roster underneath the salary cap. Come on, that's part of being a fan, and we've got more than our fair share here in Philadelphia who think they can do it as well as Howie can. All right, one other group of three that I want to mention before we get our first guest up here. Scott Grayson from Fox 29, their sports anchor and host of Props and Locks, is going to jump in with us. A group of three that were well questioned and performed quite well, at least for me last night, were the Kelceys. Travis, Jason, and Mama Kelce out there front and center, delivering cookies to her boys, which was great. And I thought Jason had one of the best lines ever, or one of the best lines, at least last night. Biggest bragging rights ever. Yeah, if you win this one, this is one that's going to last in the Kelce family for what, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, depending on how long these two guys live. This is the one that you have to have if you're one of the two Kelce brothers this week.
Yeah, even if you have a rematch down the road, and Lord knows how difficult that would be, and who knows if Jason's even coming back next year. But even if you have a rematch, to get the first one is always going to be tremendous bragging rights. So yeah, I mean, those guys have a lot of fun. Anybody who watches their podcast is tremendous. They just have a lot of fun, and it's good natured, and it's always a good back and forth, and they're not going to be taking it seriously. I mean, they obviously have a tremendous relationship, but yeah, I mean, competitive people like to talk trash. We see it with BG all the time. It's nice to be able to talk trash and pull that out of your pocket. Say Super Bowl 57, trump card.
Ultimate bragging rights kind of encompasses it all. And they are very well prepared, both teams and both Kelce's. But we know the Kelce's are very well prepared in that Jason's wife is with him on the trip and brought her doctor with him just in case there is a need for her obstetrician. She's very pregnant at this time. The baby,
I think she's overdue.
Is she overdue? I thought it wasn't like till next week.
It might be. Don't quote me on that.
I think it's like the closing
she's very
in
close,
on the final
though.
week.
She's very close.
So do you know, as prepared as the Kelce's are, if they are ready to do their podcast this week? Do they have their equipment? Do they have a location? Are they going to do it together? Because usually they're in different cities, so you got to work split screens, kind of like you and me here aren't in the same studio. Are they going to do it together? Do you have Kelce podcast details for us, John McMullen?
I don't. I'm not out there. So, but I imagine if they do it, it's going to be the split screen thing still. They're at different hotels and all that stuff. And if they have an hour to do something like that, they'll just pull out the laptop and the technology of the world we have and do it that way. But I do know they already did one this week, so I assume it's over. They'll do one next week. They did one this week with their mom and dad, so they had surprise guests, and everybody's saying who's going to be the surprise, who's going to be and it was mom and dad. So they already got the Super Bowl week out of the way. I assume that's going to be it. Now after the game, they'll probably somebody will have to show up wearing a Chiefs jersey or an Eagles jersey, or depending on who wins. I'm sure they'll have some kind of bets
Yeah,
going on.
you got to go at least hat, if not full blown jersey. The loser is going to have to wear the other team's hat. So that is something to look forward to, Eagle fans. Hopefully, you're looking forward to the next hour and 40 minutes here with us, John McMullen, Jody McDonald on Birds 365. Scott Grayson, Fox 29 sports anchor, going to join us coming up in less than 5. And a fun guest in hour number 2. He's been with us before. Jason Cole, NFL reporter, author. He's written 7 NFL books, and also Hall of Fame selector. That is this weekend. The NFL would decide who of the finalists will be going into the Hall of Fame. So they've got their big vote this weekend. We'll certainly ask Jason about that and the Eagles and Chiefs matchup. It is 5 and counting days to Super Bowl 57. Eagles and Chiefs. We're getting you ready for it right here with McMullen and McDonald.